Victoria from Biblio Lifestyle, and you're listening to the Reader's Couch podcast, the show that will help you bridge the gap between living a full and busy life to one where you're reading, learning new things, and having fun. Today on the couch, I'm so excited to welcome author Ava Wilder to talk about her latest novel, Will They or Won't They? Will They or Won't They is a second chance romance where former lovers and co-stars who can't stand each other reunite to film the last season of their show. And both on and off screen, they discover that they're still attracted to each other. Now, Ava and I talk about so many things, from her inspiration to write this novel, the similarities and differences between her previous book, How to Fake It in Hollywood, and we play a fun soap opera game inspired by the main characters, Lilah and Shane. Ava also shares some great book recommendations that will topple your TBR. Plus, she shares tips for someone who wants to get back into reading and for readers who are going through a reading slump. So let's get into the episode, because I can't wait for you to listen to my chat with author Ava Wilder. Hi there, could you do me a favour really quick? Would you pretty please subscribe to the show, leave me a 5-star rating if you like it, and share an episode or two with your bookish friends? Better yet, if you could drop a link to the show or to your favourite episode in your book club or bookish group chat, that works too. I promise it only takes a few seconds, it really helps the show, plus I'll be incredibly grateful for it. So thanks in advance, and now on to the episode. Hi readers, welcome again to the Reader's Couch. I'm your host, Victoria Wood, and here on the couch with me to talk about their latest novel, Will They or Won't They, is author Ava Wilder. Ava, welcome to the Reader's Couch.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here too. Can't wait to talk about your new book, Will They or Won't They? But I'm curious, how are you feeling? This is your second book. It's now available. Readers can get their hands on a copy. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you?
It really changes hour to hour. Like there are some days where I'm very excited, and then some days where I'm just regretting every choice I've ever made in my life, including writing a book. But right now I'm feeling pretty excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can just imagine. It's a wave of emotions. You don't know what you're getting on each given day.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You just have to ride the wave.
Ride the wave. Yep. I think that's what we have to do with most things in life. So absolutely. But I want readers to hear it straight from you though, Ava. Tell us about your book, Will They or Won't They? And what can readers expect when they pick up a copy?
So Will They or Won't They is a celebrity lovers to enemies to lovers second chance book. So it's about two actors, Lilah and Shane, who kind of rise to fame together as co-stars on this TV show. And Lilah leaves after a few seasons because she thinks that her career is about to take off. She does this movie that is a big embarrassing flop. So she ends up rejoining the show for the last season to kind of reset her career a little bit. But the problem is that she and Shane really don't get along behind the scenes because they had this fling during the first season that ended pretty badly. But the characters they play have been in this kind of not quite a relationship where the show has been like teasing them getting together for the whole time. And in this last season, they're finally going to get their characters together. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, these two characters have chemistry, both on screen, clearly, and off screen, which is why it's such a fabulous romance. But I want us to get to know the characters a bit individually. So let's start with Lilah. I'm feeling some readers might feel like she's a bit of a diva, but I absolutely loved her, and I hope readers will warm up to her. But tell us a bit about Lilah before the show, what's going on in her life, and besides obviously wanting to get her career together and has to work together again with Shane.
So Lilah is someone who takes her job as an actress very seriously. She's classically trained. She kind of got into the industry because she was interested in sort of playing a variety of characters and challenging herself, and is also someone who maybe on a personality scale is a little bit of a tough nut to crack, because I think like being a celebrity, you do kind of have to have these walls and these boundaries up, and it maybe makes it a little bit, it kind of impacts your personal relationships a little bit. So she thought that she could kind of pivot her success on this show into the next stage of her career, but has found that it's not the case. So she's kind of coming back and feeling a little bit humbled and of, trying to kind of reach that next level and failing in a way that was like very public and humiliating, but also having still having the tenacity to kind of keep going and try to sort of achieve that. But yeah, so she also struggles a lot with anxiety. She sort of has these like long-term mental health issues that are kind of exacerbated by being in the public eye, and also have had these really ugly effects in her relationships in the way that she kind of tends to push away other people because she is afraid of being rejected, and sort of just understanding that she is a difficult person to deal with, and in some ways kind of pre-rejects herself. So her journey in the book is both her trying to sort of write her career, and get it sort of where she wants it to be, take this last chance, and also learning that she doesn't necessarily need to change herself, but there are certain things that like will serve her better to kind of let go, and will sort of make her life easier without being like, oh, the way I am is wrong and I need to change.
Right, absolutely. And then there's also Shane. Tell us his backstory.
So with Shane, I since they're an enemies to lovers pair, I really tried to develop their characters kind of in opposition to each other, where Shane is sort of the opposite. He sort of ended up in this career by accident. He's very sort of go along to get along, like very much a people pleaser, and very sort of naturally charming, naturally charismatic, and ended up sort of being discovered and landing this role. So he has this fear of what's going to happen to him after the show is over, because he doesn't really know like what he is cut out for in terms of staying in the entertainment industry, because even if you have this one success, you kind of have to keep like hustling forever. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to continue to have any kind of like long-term success. And so he has a lot of like deep insecurity and imposter syndrome about sort of his position and where his life is going, where he stumbled into this kind of like incredible gift basically, and now isn't really sure where to go from here. And so I wanted them to sort of set up their personalities where it's like they each have something that the other person is jealous of, in terms of like their kind of core personality traits, where Lilah is very self-possessed. She really knows who she is and what she wants, but she has some interpersonal issues, whereas Shane does not have that same kind of core knowledge of who he is, but he is like everybody's best friend. Everybody loves him. Like that part comes so easily to him.
Right, absolutely. Well, I loved reading about these two coming back together, having to do press tours together, having to film a season. It was just really, really great to read, and behind the scenes of filming, and of course the sexy bits too. But I'm curious, tell me about your inspiration for Will They or Won't They? Where did this idea come from?
So the very initial seed of the idea came from a conversation about the show Gilmore Girls, because there's this rumor, and I feel bad that I keep bringing this up because like people obviously are asking me the inspiration, so I have to repeat this every time, and I don't think it is actually a true rumor, that the actors who played Lorelai and Luke did not get along during the filming of that show. And so that kind of sparked the idea, because my first book was also a celebrity romance. I'm obviously very interested in like the secret lives of celebrities, but it wasn't a co-star romance. And co-stars hooking up and falling in love is something that we see all the time in real life. And it just seemed like such an interesting relationship to explore, specifically playing love interest on a long-running TV show. The fact that you're stuck together for years, regardless of how you feel each other behind the scenes, and really not being able to escape each other, like the ultimate forced proximity with this added element that it's very public. And we've just seen so many different variations of this in real life where we have co-stars who fall in love and stay together. We have co-stars who date and break up while the show's still going on. We have co-stars who notoriously have not gotten along and we don't really know why. So it just felt like a premise that had so much opportunity for tension and drama.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, who is your favorite character to write or discover, or just who do you love the most?
I really enjoyed writing Lilah, and I was also very scared writing her because, as you mentioned, I knew that she was going to be a controversial character. And she was someone that I put a lot of my worst qualities into her in kind of an exaggerated way, knowing that some people were really going to hate her and some people were hopefully going to feel really seen by her, which has been the case so far. And she also so like when I was growing up, I was obsessed with these two movies that I think are part of the reason why I write celebrity romance now, which were Singing in the Rain and America's Sweethearts. And they both have kind of a similar premise to this, where it's about these acting co-star pairs. They're movie stars, but they kind of are like long-term co-stars who really hate each other behind the scenes. But it is not a romance between them. In both of these movies, the man gets with kind of like the nice girl who is not famous and who is like obsessed with him. And the woman in the acting pair is painted as this like horrible, evil diva, just like zero redeeming qualities. She ends the movie or both movies getting like humiliated and her career is ruined and all of this stuff. And like, even when I was a kid, that like really never sat right with me because it felt like they had to paint her as this horrible person, because I think there is this kind of like subconscious threat from this kind of woman who is like, very like beautiful and powerful and ambitious. And we want to see her kind of taken down a peg and destroyed. And so Lilah was sort of my attempt to kind of take that character and humanize her and give her some depth while also not taking away kind of the prickliness and like difficult parts of her as well.
Right. I think that's what I loved most about her. It's easy, I feel, to love Shane and, want to cheer for him and everything. I felt he was more the easier character to love. But I think, or I hope, as readers kind of get to know Lilah more, they will warm up to her. But yes, prickly at first, come across as a bit of a diva, all that. But I think she's great. I think she's a great character.
Thank you. And when you're doing enemies to lovers, you have to have one of them be difficult.
True.
And in my last book, I had the man was the difficult one, so I couldn't do another difficult man. So I was like, I have to have her be the kind of the tough cookie.
Yeah, swapping roles this time around. Absolutely. All right, so I want us to shake things up on a podcast a bit and play a game, and I'm going to call this one Soap Opera Casting Lilah and Shane Edition. So I'm going to list pairs of classic soap operas, and you're going to let me know what show you think Lilah and Shane would like to be casted on. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So what soap opera would Lilah and Shane like to be casted on? The Bold and the Beautiful or Days of Our Lives?
So I don't know very much about soap operas. I'm going to say Days of Our Lives.
Days of Our Lives. All right. There's another one called Young and the Restless or General Hospital.
I think, let's say General Hospital. Let's get a medical setting in there.
Medical setting sounds good. All right. The next pair, there's this soap opera called Dark Shadows, and this is more of like a gothic soap opera. Mm-hmm. And then there's Passions, which has a supernatural flair.
Ooh, so the show that they're on is a supernatural show, so I think they would do well on either of these. But I'm going to say Passions because even knowing nothing about soap operas, I have heard how bonkers Passions is.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so our next pair is would they like to be casted on Guiding Light or One Life to Live?
Um, I'm gonna say One Life to Live.
And our last pair is Santa Barbara or All My Children.
Wow, I've never even heard of Santa Barbara. I'm gonna say All My Children because it's a classic.
Yes, I think All My Children is a classic, so it would be really hard not to go for that one. Okay, bonus time, because I think this is the TV soap opera of our times, even though it's technically not a soap opera, but it's the Real Housewives franchise. It's reality TV, but I think it's soap opera. So what franchise would Lilah and Shane want to be on?
I feel like they would have to be on Beverly Hills.
Yes, I like Beverly Hills. I think that would be good for them too.
I think that's the one. I'm not super familiar with all of them, but that one has kind of like ex actors on it.
Yes. So
Right?
yeah, I think Beverly Hills has TV talent, wow power. So for sure.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna go with that.
Yes, Beverly Hills it is. Well, Ava, thank you so much for playing this game.
Thank you.
It was fun. Now, I'm curious about your writing life, and I'm going to start with your debut, How to Fake It in Hollywood, because I absolutely love that book.
Thank you.
That came out last year, 2022. It was one of my top picks for summer, and then now we have Will They or Won't They, which is also another top pick of mine for summer. So it's clear you love this celebrity culture. So
Mhm.
tell me, what would you say are the similarities and differences between these two books?
The main similarity is that they're both about two sets of actors. And there is some crossover. They take place in the same universe. But I think the biggest difference is that in How to Fake It in Hollywood, they're not actually working at all. And Will They or Won't They is very much like a workplace romance.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the biggest thing. And I really try, when I knew I was going to write about another set of actors, the most important thing to me was really to make them feel distinct from Gray and Ethan. Their personalities, their kind of feelings about their careers and their motivations and all of that kind of thing.
Right, absolutely. So, for readers who are not familiar with How to Fake It in Hollywood, just share really quick what that book is about.
So How to Fake It in Hollywood is a fake dating romance about an A-lister and a C-lister who are set up in a fake relationship, where Ethan is a very, very famous actor, writer, director who has kind of been in retreat for a while because he's dealt with a lot of personal tragedy and struggles with addiction. And Gray is a younger actress who was most famous for like a CW type teen soap drama and is trying to kind of break out into the next phase of her career. They have the same publicist, so they're set up together, and sparks fly.
And sparks fly indeed. So, these two books are set in the Hollywood celebrity scene. Are you planning for a third?
Not at the moment. Never say never in the future. I've like had a couple attempts at I think I'm done writing about actors. I've had a couple of attempts at writing about musicians that have not really gone well. So that's kind of on the back burner for now. But it's something I do enjoy writing about and find interesting. So I'm sure I'll go back to that well in the future. But for now, I'm kind of pivoting away from it.
Okay. Are you working on anything else right now?
I am. I took a long break from writing after I turned in Will They or Won't They, and I'm just in the early stages of my third book. So I had a 2-book deal, and those were my 2 books. So I don't have anything else under contract right now, but hopefully that will change soon.
Right. Absolutely. Sounds good. Well, now that you've had 2 books out there, I mean, looking back, if you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would you tell her?
There's this text that my husband sent me when I was spiraling about something writing related that I like screenshotted and I look at all the time, which is not everyone's opinion needs to have meaning in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is kind of the thing that is really hard to hold on to once you have your work out there and you're getting like all of this kind of like outside feedback about about your work and about all of this stuff, which is like not really useful if you're trying to kind of continue to create, because it just feels like it's very like paralyzing having, I don't think we're really meant to have all of this information about ourselves and about our work at once. So yes, not everyone's opinion needs to have meaning in your life, and I'm still working on it.
Yep, absolutely. I think most creatives can relate to that for sure. So I want to get into your reading life really quick, because again, we're here to talk about your new book, Will They or Won't They? But we want to know what you're reading too. So share with our listeners the last book or books that you finished reading that you'd now recommend.
So I just finished A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera, which I loved so much. It's a historical romance, and it's very rare because it's a historical romance that's like very socially conscious. But it was just like so sexy, so fun. The second one just came out, I think, a week or two ago, and I am really excited to read it. And I'm also currently in the middle of two books that I'm almost done with that I'm obsessed with. One of which is Georgie All Along by Kate Claiborne, which is a romance, a contemporary romance. It's kind of like a take on, woman coming back to her small town. But Kate Claiborne is just amazing. And I'm also reading, like right before this interview, I was reading it, The Guest by Emma Cline, which also just came out, which is literary fiction about this young woman who is kind of like a sex worker, grifter, sort of drifting through the Hamptons because her like older boyfriend kicked her out, and she's like trying to kind of kill time for a few days before she can like try to go back to him. And it's very stressful. It's like the writing style is very chill, but it's also incredibly stressful. And I saw someone describe it as uncut gems for women, which I think is accurate. But yes, all of those highly recommended.
I love that you gave us 3 very different books. So I'm really curious now. What are your go-to genres for reading?
So I read a lot of romance, obviously, but lately I have been, because becoming a romance writer has sort of changed my relationship with the genre, where it is less of an escape than it used to be. And obviously I still enjoy reading it. But I lately have kind of been dipping my toe back into like literary fiction, contemporary fiction, sometimes thrillers, because that really feels like an escape the way that romance isn't necessarily anymore for me.
Right. I understand. That makes sense. What would you say was your favorite childhood book, thinking back?
I was a huge reader growing up. I was just like devouring books. But I think my favorite book was probably Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. I had that paperback that just like became destroyed because I read it so much. And I was always very attracted to stories about kind of like, tough young women kind of making it in the world. And I think as I've gotten older, I'm like, I haven't revisited it as an adult, but I'm very impressed by the tone of it and the way that it takes sort of her experiences so seriously. And I remember when the movie came out, I was so upset that because it kind of came out in the wake of like Shrek, and the sort of, we're going to do kind of like the wacky anachronistic like fairy tale thing. And like, I really felt like that's not the tone of the book at all. And I really felt like we deserved a better adaptation than what we got. But I think that book really like rewired my brain chemistry as a child.
Absolutely. And what books are you looking forward to reading in the year ahead?
So I have a bunch that I'm very excited for. So just in terms of like this summer, so this first one I have read, but it's not out yet, and I'm really excited for everyone to read it. But The Art of Scandal by Regina Black, which is about a woman who she's married to a politician, and she discovers that he is cheating on her when he accidentally sends a dick pic to her. And so they kind of negotiate this this sort of fake continuation of their marriage, like while his campaign is going on. And meanwhile, she gets involved with like a much younger man who is the son of one of the women in her social circle. And it's the drama, the angst, the emotional depth. Like, I'm so obsessed with Regina's writing, and I think like this book better be huge. Like,
You sold me on it. Like, I'm here Googling. I'm like, okay, add to notes. I'm doing it right now. I'm sold.
And I'm also really excited for In the Case of Heartbreak by Courtney Kay. I really loved her
Mhm.
first book, and I have it. I've just been saving it for when I know that I can be like emotionally, like I know it's going to put me through the emotional ringer, and I know I'm not ready for that yet. But super excited for that one. I'm really excited for Elliot Page's memoir, which just came out today, or I guess when this episode is out, it will have been out for a while. And I love a celebrity memoir. I'm on hold for the audiobook at my library because for celebrity memoirs especially, I really like listening to them on audiobook read by the celebrity. Yeah, so those are just a few.
Sounds good. I love a great reading list. All right, so there might be a reader listening to this episode because readers know, fans of the show know this is spoiler free. So you come to this show, you can discover a new book, no worries, we won't spoil it. But there might be a reader who wants to incorporate more reading into their lives, or we have someone who is an avid reader, but right now they're experiencing a reading slump. What advice would you give to someone who, one, wants to start reading more, incorporate reading more in their lives, but also that reader who might be going through a slump right now and they don't know what to do?
I think for me, the biggest thing that, because I sort of went through a long period as an adult where I wasn't reading as much. And I think just telling yourself that reading can be fun. Like, you don't have to read the things that you feel like you are obligated to read. You can read literally whatever you want. And in terms of reading slumps, I find for me, I will usually have books that I kind of am keeping sort of like in case of an emergency that I know I'm going to love. And so I'll usually break into one of those. Or I'll go back. I don't do as much rereading lately because my TBR is so stressful that I feel it makes me feel bad to reread instead of reading something new. But I usually have kind of like a mental list of books that I know are that I'm gonna love and that I've been saving for this moment.
I love this idea of an in case of emergencies book list. I think I need to incorporate that into my life as well.
You should. I mean, it's hard when those books do not live up to your expectations, but
Mhm.
so far I haven't really had that experience. But like, it's some people call it book edging, where you're saving a book for when that you're going to love for when you really need it.
Yeah, I think you know what I'm going to do? I'll make an in case of emergency book list with those authors that I know I'm going to read no matter what.
Yes.
So I'm not going to, I'll read some, but I'll keep some for in case of emergencies because regardless, we all have those authors. Like when you mentioned Courtney Kay, I'm like, yeah, I'm reading whatever she is writing.
Yes.
And Kate Claiborne as well, and a few others. So yes, I like that idea. Sounds solid. Sounds solid. Okay, so on the show, we're also fans of indie bookstores. So share with our listeners your favorite indie.
So I am based in Oklahoma City, and I love Full Circle Books. That's where I did my launch event for How to Fake It. It's where I'm going to do the event for Will They or Won't They. They're so great. The store is incredibly cozy. They have a great romance section. And I'm also a big fan of Best of Books, which is also in Oklahoma. It's a little bit outside of the city, and they're who I did my pre-order campaign through. And
Mhm.
they are also great. They've been so supportive. And they've started doing, or they did one, and I think they're going to keep doing them, but doing like a grown up book fair where they partner with a brewery. And it's kind of like, sort of like the Scholastic book fairs from when we were kids, except it's adult books and people drink beer and they have all of these, different like booths and stuff, which I love so much. And
Yay!
I'm about to, and also in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, Magic City Books is kind of like the big bookstore there, and I'm going to do an event there, which I'm super excited about because I have never been.
Yay, I love that. And also for readers who love getting, copies of books signed, I'm guessing you're going to be signing some books at those bookstores.
Yes.
So if possible, go online, call them, pick up the phone, place your order, and you can get a copy of Will They or Won't They signed while stocks last. So hopefully you do that soon.
Yes.
All right. So I kind of want to wrap things together with Will They or Won't They? I know I love that message that your husband sent you via text and, just something to kind of keep in mind. But in an ideal world and situation where opinions aren't coming at you and readers have finished reading, will they or won't they? What are you hoping they might think or feel after they've turned the very last page?
I'm hoping they were entertained by it. I hope they feel somewhat connected to the characters. I hope they feel like swept up in the love story. My editor, when I was done with my last round of revision, she sent me an email that was like, their love story feels epic to me. And I really hope that readers feel that way also.
Absolutely. I love it. Ava, thank you so much for coming on the show and speaking with me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank you so much for listening to the Reader's Couch podcast. Please subscribe to the show, share it with a friend, and take a few seconds to leave a rating and review. Until next time, stay lounging, stay reading, and whenever you're in doubt, go straight to your local bookstore or library. Thanks again for listening, and happy reading.